Here we are on day one on our trip to Riga, capital of Latvia. Came to Latvia. It's a lovely sort of country, quite small, well worth a visit. Quite cheap as well, one of the cheapest places to go the weekend. Here's a view from the top of St. Peter's Cathedral, just gone up on the lift, in fact, and you get a great sort of panoramic view around from the old town. There's the library over there, and the observation unit, the far left there. And then there's the Russian building there, that sort of triangular building. And coming around to the cathedral, there's a town square just down below us, down there, and round to the left is the cathedral there. So a lot of history behind Latvia, and thankfully they've kept or even reconstructed the old town. Quite a bit was bombed, including this building. This is the house of the Blackheads, which we'll be visiting properly soon after finishing this tour, which I say is a great tour. Lasts about an hour and 3/4. No charge, but it's just to give a tip at the end, sort of €5 or €10. And they do a number of tours actually around the town, but this is one of the best ones. It's sort of highlights of Riga. And he really sort of brings the town to life. He loves this city, loves the country, and he tells us all about it, along with a few jokes. There's the synagogue. It's the only synagogue in the old town, and unfortunately, a lot of Jews lost their lives under sort of Nazi occupation. There's the House of the Blackheads, fine building, worth going in. There's a small charge for each of the museums, about sort of varies between sort of €5 to €15. Some of them do tours inside, like the one of the museums we go to later. They do a great tour. This is the Art Nouveau street. They do quite a few films. In fact, it's cheaper to film than in Hollywood, so they would have one or two Hollywood films over here, or Netflix films have been shot here. Lovely old sort of cobble streets. There's a story behind the cobbles actually. So they had to, people that came in to do trading had to give them a cobbled stone as payment to come into town, and hence they've collected all these stones. And wherever you go in the old town, there's these cobbled streets. So it's quite nice. A bit of a tourist spot here. There's the square from where there's the town hall, the House of Blackheads. Tourist information spot as well. It's another church. Some fine churches around. You can pop in. Most of them free, or just a donation to go in there. This is the wall around the old town. Lovely reconstructed, in fact. So quite a bit was bombed. Quite a bit of the old town was bombed, but they got a real pride in their town, and so it's been rebuilt. And it's well kept, nice, clean, tidy place. Some lovely little cafes and restaurants, all quite reasonable. Now here we are inside of the it's a history museum. It's called the Museum of Occupation, and Latvia was occupied by a number of different countries. First the Germans, then the Swedes. It's actually had a bigger city than Stockholm at one time, and by the Russians, and then by and here we have the human chain that was formed, or it's called the Chain of Freedom. This was in 1989 as a demonstration between all three Baltic countries, so it's Estonia, Latvia and Lithuania, against the Russian occupation, and it was quite successful, quite effective, and led to their independence. Here we are inside of the House of the Blackheads, fine building, worth a visit. Here's the history of it. You can see how it's demolished. In fact, it was bombed by the Germans and then blown up and demolished completely by the Russians, but they lovingly restored it. And so by 1999, it was fully restored. Here's a market. It was one of the biggest markets in the world, in fact. Still pretty large. Sell fresh fish, cheeses, pastries. Here's the cheese section here. Then just around the corner, there's the pastries. So it's well worth a visit. Some fruit and veg as well. Get some good bargains. And here we have the old KGB building called the Latvian Academy of Science Observation Deck. It looks very Russian, doesn't it, from the inside? And you get a lift up to the 15th floor, and then a few steps up from there, you can get up to an observation deck. Here we're buying our tickets for our trip off for the next day.